Hey, it's Andrew here. I'm bringing you another Keyforge set review. This time we're going to be talking about Sanctum in Age of Ascension. And Sanctum has gotten a bit of hype. People feel that they're a bit stronger here than in Call of the Archons. And I think there's some truth to that, although I was thinking through trying to think what exactly is it that makes that true? What do I want to look for that makes that true? And I'm not 100% sure. Although I'll point out a few cards that I think really do boost their power level a bit. I think if anything, well, I'll come back to that thought. But I think it's an interesting thought. What exactly makes them better than they were before? But first, I want to talk about the 5 questions that I've been going through on these set reviews. The first one is, when I open a deck and I see Sanctum on the Archon card, I haven't seen what's in it yet. What am I thinking I'm going to get? And here's what I wrote down. I wrote down, I think I'm probably going to get some cards with armor. Armor on them, maybe that grant armor to others. I'm going to have a lot of capture functionality, probably. I'm going to have a few cards with taunt. I'll have some cards with deploy, because Sanctum is actually the house with the most by 1, but with the most deploy in the game. I'm hoping for some prevent this or prevent that. Maybe I can knock my opponent off a key. I can keep them from having big stuff. I can keep them from reaping. It's a lot of slowing down the opponent, but not total destruction like Dees would do, but sort of controlled destruction. I'm looking for things that protect, not only taunt, but things that say can't be dealt damage, for example, or that say your amber can't be stolen. I'm looking for cards that heal. I'm looking for cards that care about, and in some cases are able to effect battle line arrangement, not only deploy, but some other things as well. I'm looking for cards that have ready and fight abilities, and I am looking for some cross-house synergy. There already was that in Call of the Archons and Commander Remiel, but in Age of Ascension, it's a little more specific with the ambassadors, which are pretty interesting. So, what do I hope to see next to Sanctum? I would really like to see Brobnar next to Sanctum, because usually, because there's a lot of synergy between them. Brobnar has a lot of big creatures. It likes you having big creatures. Sanctum tends to have a bunch of big creatures, and together they give you the strong chance that you're going to have real board control. And then, of course, whatever your third house is has more room to do what it wants. And a lot of times you can really use having that board control to your advantage anyway. My favorite combo in Sanctum and Age of Ascension is Proclamation 346E with Free Markets, and we'll see both those cards later on. But essentially, Proclamation 346E incentivizes your opponent to try to get 3 different houses on the board. Free Markets gives you a benefit based on how many houses are represented on the board. So, so by pushing your opponent, they have an incentive to accomplish that, and then you have a way to take advantage of it too. I think that's a kind of a cool effect that doesn't show up in a lot of other cards. There is maybe sort of a general ethos of that with the way some of the steal 1 and push to, but if you're at 7, blah 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 cards work. But I think this is an interesting interaction. If I could have a Maverick, I wrote 2 down. I'd love to have a Tesmal in Sanctum, and a Tesmal I think is just good if you can keep it out and use it. In Sanctum you have a possibility to keep it out and use it, but also it just adds a little bit of extra ability to push my opponent around, which I think is really good with Sanctum. The other one I wrote was Quantum Finger Trap. That's a Logos artifact, but the reason I would want Quantum Finger Trap is because it has that ability to manipulate your battle line, which would generally augment some of the ways that Sanctum cares about doing that. I originally wrote that for a legacy card I would want to have Whispering Reliquary, but I think I had forgotten that Gorm of Om is in this set, so I actually don't feel like that's such a need. And thinking about it again, I came up with, I think what I'd want is Jehu, because he just gives you like a little kick in the, kick in the pants for, in a good way, just a little bonus for picking Sanctum. So he's saying, hey, yeah, just pick Sanctum, it'll be cool, you'll get some amber, and that's missing in this set. Okay, let's jump into the cards. Starting out, we have, in the commons, we have Lion Bautrim, who's a 4-power human knight with 1 armor, and Deploy. So, in case you're not familiar with it yet, Deploy is a keyword that says this creature can interplay anywhere on your battle line. Normally, your creatures get added to a flank. With Deploy, they can get slotted in the middle. And again, we'll see some more of this in Sanctum in Age of Ascension. And Lion's neighbors get +2 power, which can be quite useful. It's really nice in a lot of situations. I like it. Then we have Abond, the Armor Smith, who's a 3-power human, and Abond gives other friendly creatures +1 armor, and he can exhaust to give them an additional +1 armor for the remainder of the turn. Albade is a 4-power Spirit Knight with 1 armor. When you play him from your hand, he captures 3 amber from your opponent, and every time he reaps, you discard 1 of those from him, which means it goes back to the common supply. It's gone, and that's a pretty cool effect. He's gotten the amber from the enemy, and if he stays on the board long enough, he's going to be able to just completely get rid of it. Of course, if you can keep him on the board for 3 turns to do that, then you're probably doing pretty well anyway. Blinding Light is an action. This one's back from Call of the Archons. It's not new. It has a bonus amber, and when you play it, you choose a house and you stun all the creatures from that house. Bordan the Redeemed is a 3-power human thief with elusive, who has the action ability Capture 2. Yeah, Bordan's interesting because he's so weak that you think, oh, this is not. I mean, how is he going to keep that on there, right? He doesn't have any armor. He just has the elusive. And yeah, a good portion of the time, I might just use him to reap. I'd rather probably accelerate my own game state than slow my opponents down if both are viable options. But and the other thing, of course, is there's a little bit of, it's not exactly push your luck, but it's pushing things, because if you capture 2 on him, then let's say your opponent has creatures on the board, they could kill him, they could fight. They have to think hard about whether they want to spend 2 creatures to fight and kill him if he has 2 amber on him. But you move it to 6. That's a whole key. Yeah, will they spend 2 creatures to kill him then? With 2 creature turns, right? They're not even necessarily killing the creatures. Yeah, definitely. So you don't want to overuse him, but the best possible use is your opponent's on 7, use him, knock them down to 5. That's a great time to use him, right? So it just depends on the circumstances whether this is the right thing to do or not. But can be pretty good. One of my favorite situations to be in is if I can engineer a situation where I have a lot of amber captured, um, and I'm able to work things so that I can give it back to my opponent right before doing something like a doorstep to heaven, an interdimensional graft, a too much to protect, something like that. So if you can work something out like that, then good for you. Okay, let's talk about Chal the Safeguard. This is a 4-power human knight with 2 armor. He has deploy and he has taunt, and yeah, it's interesting. Chal is most evenly compared to Champion and Naphiel, which is the main taunt common in Sanctum for Call of the Archons, and that has higher power, right? It's 6 power, 1 armor. Chal is 4 power, 2 armor. But I mean, I think the extra armor counts for something, but also that deploy counts for a lot, because when I'm looking to put a taunt creature on the board, I would like it to be big and to make it something that will get in my opponent's way. But my number one priority with putting that taunt creature down is I have creatures I want to protect. And so that deploy ability, I think, boosts its ability to do the thing that I really want it to do, which is protect particular small creatures. I'd rather have this than Champion and Naphiel any day of the week. So just because it has that higher utility, even though it has a lower power. So anyway, interesting ways to think about that. I'd love to hear, if you have a different perspective on that, feel free to share it in the comments. Golden Aura is an action that lets you choose a creature, you heal it fully, and for the remainder of the turn it can't get damaged, and it's in Sanctum. So this can pair nicely with cards like Take Hostages, or if you just have creatures with strong fight or reap abilities. Ooh, sorry about that. Then this can be quite good. Hallowed Shield is an artifact. The one thing I wanted to say about Golden Aura, the slight downside to it is it really does depend on you having creatures from another house on the board, right? And it doesn't have a ready, so they need to be ready in order for it to work. Otherwise, it's kind of a throwaway card. All right, Hallowed Shield is an artifact. It can exhaust to let you choose a hero, and for the remainder of the turn, a creature. For the remainder of the turn, that creature can't be dealt damage. It's a spot Potion of Invulnerability. I like it. I think I actually like it better because of that reuse. Although, you're probably going to get maybe 3 uses out of it over the course of a game, depending on when it comes out. Healing Blast is an action with a bonus amber that says fully heal a creature, and if you healed 4 or more damage this way, gain 2 amber. So far I've had trouble getting this in combinations where it's really likely to fire that 4-fold heal, just because you need big creatures for that. By definition, you need big creatures for that to work out. But I mean, if that can work out, it's essentially like a Virtuous Works with a heal. So it can be crazy good. You just need to, have creatures that are in a damaged state. Maybe a creature that benefits from fighting, like Merrick. Merrick is a 5-power, 1 armor Spirit Knight, and after Merrick prevents damage with its armor, you capture an amber for each damage just prevented. So he comes with 1 armor, and that's pretty good. I mean, every time you fight, you're going to capture 1. Well, assuming you're not fighting something with elusive, or that you haven't used the Hollowed Shield or something on him. But if you have, things start to add up, right? If you have an Abond on the field, now he has 2 armor. If you have a Protect the Weak on him, now he has 3 armor, a Seraphic armor, something like that. So it's not, it's pretty reasonable to think that you'll see some Merricks that have 3 armor and are able to, fight. They're killing something. They're not taking a lot of damage because they have so much armor, and they're capturing 3. That's a pretty cool effect. So, yeah, I really like Merrick. It's a good card. I'm happy when I see it. Speaking of Protect the Weak is an upgrade. This is back from Coda. Is an upgrade with a bonus amber. It gives the creature it's attached to +1 armor and taunt. That's it. Shield of Justice also back. It's an action with a bonus amber that says for the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature can't be dealt damage. Useful, especially if you have like a whole board full of creatures that are ready. Also, especially useful if you can get this on the board at the same time as something like a Signal Fire or Combat Pheromones, something that will let you use out-of-house creatures that turn too to get the fighting done. Can be quite good, but yeah, and in the worst case scenario, it's just an amber. Sir Marrows is a 4-power human knight with 2 armor, and after your opponent gains amber by reaping, Sir Marrows captures it. This would definitely apply to the to the one you get from reaping. I don't believe this applies to, let's say, the extra amber you get on a Dew Fairy, since that is from the reap ability, not from reaping. So just be careful about that. But yeah, this is a very nice way to just slow your opponent down. They kind of have to deal with Sir Marrows before they can move on with their lives. And I like cards that just say, hey, I'm here, you have to deal with me. Smite. We don't have Inspiration anymore, now we have Smite. Smite is an action that lets you ready and fight with a friendly creature. You deal 2 damage to the attacked creature's neighbors. 2 splash, essentially. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like this better than Inspiration. It's solid. And if your opponent has no creatures on the board, then it just readies one of your creatures, and then you could reap with it, assuming that it's a Sanctum creature. Take Hostages is an action with a bonus amber. It's back from Coda, and it says that for the remainder of the turn, each time a friendly creature fights, it captures one. And then lastly, in the commons, we have the Grey Rider, which is a 2-power human monk. It has Deploy, and after you play it, use it to fight, or use it to reap, you can ready and fight with a neighboring creature. That is a really strong effect. If you have 2 of these next to each other, it can be quite crazy, although keep in mind in that situation that the rule of 6 is counted by name on the card. So if you have 2 of them, you can only use them a total of 6 times between the 2 of them, not 6 times each. But it's still quite good, and oftentimes you can use Grey Rider to burn the elusive on a creature, and then its neighbor to take out the creature. Sometimes, this is just about readying something so it can reap. Whatever. There's lots of applications here, and I'm always excited when I see this in a game, in a deck. It's Grey Rider is a card that says, "Hey, let's go. Let's move forward." So cool stuff. And next we will be on to the uncommons. All right, let's talk about uncommons. We have Baron Mangavin, who's a 6-power human knight with 1 armor, and after you discard a Sanctum card from your hand, Baron Mangavin captures one. This can be really interesting if you have cards like Yerks or like a Sloppy Lab Work in your hand, to be able to even discard Sanctum cards on your off-Sanctum turns. It doesn't feel great to do this on Sanctum turns, although, we mentioned Golden Aura can sometimes be like a dead card, and that might be a nice thing to do. At the end of a game, you might have a good board state and say, hey, here's a way to capture a couple. But yeah, I don't love this card just because it usually feels bad to trigger him. But if you have like Sloppy Lab Work or Yerk, then I think it could actually feel quite good. Barrister Joya is a 5-power human knight with 1 armor, and she just says enemy creatures can't reap. Just can't do it. So that's that's pretty strong, and they will definitely try to deal with her. Alright, now we have the first of the ambassadors, and there are 6 ambassadors total, 1 for each other house. They have, well, actually, arrange them over here. They have cool features in that they each have their own background, and they also each have their own flavor text. But what each of them do is, for the house that they're, well, so they're 1 power human with elusive, and after they fight or reap, you may play or use a X card this turn, where X is whatever house is on their name. So, and notice, because it's play or use a card, it's like, I mean, you could fight with a creature that's already on the board. You could play an action or creature or artifact or upgrade from your hand. You could use an artifact. So there's lots of cool, interesting effects here. This is definitely more powerful than Commander Remiel in terms of like the options that are available to you. The trade-off is that it's just to the one specific house. If you do get one of these, it's guaranteed it'll be a house that you have. And there are definitely decks out there that have 2 of them, 1 for each other house. And these are uncommon, I think, rarity. So technically, the rarity is variant, but they are numbered in with the uncommons. So I believe that the intention is for them to show up as often as an uncommon, which makes it a little weird that I haven't gotten one yet. But stuff happens. So we have the Brahmanar one, and it says, "Greetings, I bring rad tidings." The Dees one brings bad tidings. Logos Ambassador brings glad tidings. I don't know, Logos, I don't know if they'd be glad. That's the one I feel like the most iffy about. Mars brings mad tidings. That makes sense. Shadow's Ambassador says, "Greetings, I bring..." Hello? Because they can't find anybody because they're sneaky, you know. And then the Untamed Ambassador just brings tidings because they've been out there in the woods so long. This doesn't matter. Any news is going to be interesting to them. All right. Next, we have a card that is back from Call of the Archons. This is Doorstep to Heaven. It is an action with a bonus amber that says each player with 6 or more amber is reduced to 5. That's pretty good. This is one of those ones where if I can set up a situation where I've captured a bunch of amber, I give it all back to my opponent, and then play this, then I feel pretty good. It can be quite nice. It does affect you. It's a symmetrical card, but and you do get that bonus amber before you check for 6. But you know, if you can time it right, it's very, very good, and it definitely can win games. Equalize is an action with a bonus amber. You redistribute the amber on friendly creatures among friendly creatures, and then you redistribute the amber on enemy creatures among enemy creatures. This is just an interesting card. I don't feel like typically this is something I would be really excited about. It does gain you the amber. Maybe if I have a couple of Albades and I've been able to empty them and capture it on other stuff, and I want to move it back to the Albades, it could be good. If I just want to spread things around to make it harder for my opponent to get it all back, could be interesting. If my opponent has a strong board state and this is my way to get my amber back, then maybe it's a clutch card. But those just all seem like very niche situations, and I haven't gotten one of these yet. So yeah. Free Markets is an action that gains you an amber up to a maximum of 6 for each house represented among cards in play, except for Sanctum. So in a typical situation, the maximum here is actually going to be 5, because if you have Sanctum plus 2 other houses, and your opponent has 3 houses, the most you can get from this is 5. If you have this as a Maverick, then maybe you could get 6 out of it. And you know, if you're playing if you're playing multiplayer, which isn't officially supported, then who knows? That could be weird. But yeah, there's strong potential here. I mean, I hope I would hope I would get 3 out of this often. Gatekeeper is back from Coda. It's a 5 power Spirit Knight with 1 armor. When you play it, if your opponent has 7 or more, you capture all but 5 of it. Similar, fills a similar role to Doorstep to Heaven, but you know, it's just captured instead. But you get a creature out of it, so that's a bonus. Gormavam, also back from Coda. It's an artifact with Omni. You sacrifice it, destroy an artifact. Hadroth's Wall is an artifact that says each friendly flank creature gets +2 power. And that can be quite nice for like making a Gatekeeper power 7. A friend opened up a deck. It had this, and it also had an Anguish in it. And I thought that was pretty cool because you could have the Anguish be on a flank, have the +2 power, and be increasing key costs by as much as 7 potentially. Potion of Vulnerability is back from Coda. It's an artifact with a bonus amber. As Omni, sacrifice it, and for the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature cannot be dealt damage. I really like this one. I like it better than the Shield of Justice because you can use it on a non-Sanctum turn, right? My favorite way to use this was in a deck that has this and in Brobnar with 2 Relentless Assaults. So I could sometimes have a turn where I played some Brobnar cards, burned this, and then did like Relentless Assault, and it didn't matter what I was fighting with. Pretty cool stuff. Prince Derek Unifier is a 4 power human knight with 1 armor. When you play it, you gain 3 amber if you control creatures from 3 different houses. Because this is resolved after you play it, Prince Derek can count as the Sanctum creature. And yeah, 3 amber and a big creature, that's a pretty big bonus if you can pull it off. There's a high threshold to make it work. Radiant Truth is an action with a bonus amber. When you play it, you stun each enemy creature that's not on a flank. So you stun the middle of the board. That's back from Coda. Ruathe the Fierce is a new one. It's a 4 power human knight with taunt, with 2 armor and taunt and hazardous 4. So so if your opponent fights this, number 1, they're going to have to deal 6 damage to kill it, right? Number 2, they're going to take 4 damage before the fight even happens, and then they'll take another 4. So this is quite prohibitive. I love Ruathe. I think this is a fantastic card. Again, I'd much rather have this than Champion and Aphiel. Super cool. Verily I say unto thee, bring it on. Sigil of Brotherhood is back from Coda. It's an artifact with a bonus amber, and Omni, you sacrifice it. For the remainder of the turn, you can use friendly Sanctum creatures. The Harder They Come and Spirit's Way are also both back from Coda. Harder They Come purges a creature with power 5 or higher. Purge, that's pretty strong. And then Spirit's Way destroys each creature with power 3 or higher. I don't love this because I often end up feeling like it's anti-synergistic with my other Sanctum cards. And certainly if I got Brobnar, then it's not going to be good. But if you have a lot of small Sanctum cards and different houses, like maybe you got Shadows and Untamed or something, then this could be fantastic. Alright, on to the rares. We have Anahita the Trader. She is a 2 power human merchant with a Reap ability. Give control of a friendly artifact to your opponent, and if you do, they must give you 2 amber. That's really powerful, especially because this isn't steal. They give you 2 amber, so that's kind of a cool just a little detail there. It matters what artifacts you pass over. So obviously if you pass something over that has a constant effect that affects both players equally, like let's say a Grunt Buggy, then yeah, that's no big deal. That's a fantastic deal for you, actually. If you hand over something that will have no value for your opponent, then that's pretty good too. If alternatively, you might be able to pass something over and then have some effect that lets you use it or get rid of it right away. That's not a bad deal. in the worst case scenario, if you have something that you can is a, like let's say you have a hallowed shield, you can use it before reaping with Anahita, and then when you hand it over, it's exhausted, and it won't unexhaust until the end of their next turn. So, of their turn following the turn you're on. So then you can still deny them some use of it. And even if they do get some use out of it, taking 2 from them is a pretty good proposition. So this seems good. I haven't gotten this in the deck, but I would love to have Anahita in the deck. Quick note, of course, because we're in rare territory here, we're going to see a lot more cards returning from Coda, right? It's 3/4 of the commons are new. Only 40% of the rares are new. So we have Armageddon Cloak, which is an upgrade with a bonus amber. It's back from Coda, and it gives the creature hazardous 2, and which means that before it's attacked, before the fight, it deals 2 damage to the attacking creature, and it gets destroyed. Fully heal this creature and destroy Armageddon Cloak instead of the creature. Begone is back. Is an action that says choose 1, destroy each Deast creature, or gain an amber. Pretty straightforward. Doom of the Martyr's back. 3-power human with destroyed. Fully heal each other friendly creature and draw 2 cards. And this is not what I would have expected, but my current understanding of how this resolves is that in a case where your opponent has used something like, let's say, Carpet Flotsam to spray the board with damage, and a bunch of creatures are going to die, or even let's say all your creatures have 1 damage, and Save the Pack was played. In either of those cases, once the Duma destroyed trigger resolves and all the other friendly creatures are healed, at that point they're no longer valid targets for being destroyed. They are no longer going to be destroyed. So just an interesting timing note there on how this works. It can actually save things from being destroyed. Which makes sense in the thematically. It's not how I thought the rules resolution would work. But and I haven't heard an official ruling on that, so I'll look forward to hearing about that maybe in a future FAQ or something, but it is an interesting timing note. Okay. Epic Quest is back. It's an artifact. When you play it, you archive each friendly night creature in play, and its Omni ability is if you have played 7 or more Sanctum cards this turn, sacrifice Epic Quest and forge a key at no cost. That is pretty cool. Eye of Judgment is new. It has a bonus amber, it's an artifact, and it can exhaust to purge a creature from a discard pile. Just pew, gone. Yeah, it's interesting. Pretty niche, but very interesting. Lord Golgotha is returning from Coda, and I've opened a ton of these. Not one super recently, but I opened, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 of them in a row, it feels like, a few weeks ago. Lord Golgotha is a 5-power Spirit Knight with 2 armor, and before the fight, you deal 3 damage to each neighbor of the creature Lord Golgotha fights. Martyr's End is new. It's an action with a bonus amber. You destroy any number of friendly creatures, and you gain an amber for each creature destroyed this way. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like it. I would love to have this in like a deck with a bunch of Dust Imps or something like that. I think it could be pretty cool. Or a deck with a bunch of with like Archimedes. That could be quite crazy. Mighty Lance is an action that's back from Coda. It deals 3 damage to a creature and 3 damage to a neighbor of it. Mother Northel is new. She's a 2-power human monk with elusive, and when she reaps, you move an amber from a friendly creature to your pool. So this turns a capture into a steal. That's pretty cool. Mark actually got a deck, I think it was Mark, got a deck with a bunch of capture, and it has Mother Northel and Selwyn the Fence, who has the same effect in Shadows. So I thought that was a pretty cool setup to have. Oath of Poverty is an action with a bonus amber. It's back from Coda, and you destroy each of your artifacts, and you gain 2 amber for each artifact destroyed this way. One Stood Against Many, also back. It is an action with a bonus amber. You ready and fight with a friendly creature 3 times, each time against a different enemy creature, and you resolve the fights 1 at a time. This is pretty cool if you have like a Hallowed Shield or some way to make one specific creature undamageable. You can get some cool value out of this. And, you know, even if you just have a big creature, it can be quite good. Opal Knight is a new one. It's a 5-power Spirit Knight, and on play, you destroy each creature with even power. It's actually after play, so there's a weird thing here where, like, if there was some effect boosting Opal Knight's strength to 6, or power to 6, then it would have to destroy itself too. And of course, this is paired with a discard, the Onyx Knight on the other side, that destroys each creature with odd power. It's pretty. I don't know. I'm surprised they haven't turned this into a mat yet, but I'm sure they will at some point, because the 2 cards, if you line up their art, they sync up, and it's pretty cool. Okay, I mentioned this before. Proclamation 346E. It's a new artifact that says while your opponent does not control creatures from 3 different houses, their keys cost +2. It's nice. Slow them down. And a nice quote from Jehu there. I'm particularly fond of paragraph 2, subsection C. We all have someone like that in our lives. I am that person in a lot of people's lives. Sanctum Guardian is back from Coda. It's a 6-power Spirit Knight with 1 armor. It has Taunt, and on Fight or Reap, you swap it with another friendly creature in your battle line. That's pretty cool. Gets to move around a bit, which is really nice with that Taunt ability. And, you know, this is essentially, this is a strictly better champion in Aphiel. Seraphic Armor is an upgrade with a bonus amber, and it gives the creature it's attached to +1 armor. Oh, and on play, you fully heal the creature. I haven't had that be that, you know, work out so far, but it is a, you know, has a lot of potential there. Shard of Hope is a new artifact. It's of course there's a shard in each house, and if you get 1, you're guaranteed you'll get 1 in another house. You can get potentially 1 in each of your houses, and the Shard of Hope can exhaust to make a friendly creature capture 1 amber for each friendly shard. And I believe the way this is worded, it would, let's say you have 2 other artifacts out, 1 creature would capture 3 amber. You couldn't spread it out, based on my reading of it. A friendly creature captures what? Captures 1 amber for each friendly shard. If it said for each friendly shard, a friendly creature captures an amber, it would be different, actually. But you know, if you don't believe me, or you're not sure, then send a rules question. I sometimes am wrong. Vault Keeper's back. It's a 4-power Spirit Knight with 1 armor. It says your amber can't be stolen. That's pretty good. Pretty good Shadow Tape. And then lastly, we have another returning Coda card, Vimos Lightbringer, which is a 6-power Angel Spirit that on play destroys each elusive creature. So, cool stuff. And that's it. That's it for Sanctum in Age of Ascension. It's nice having, you know, thanks to Keyforge Compendium for making a nice interface for walking through these cards. I hope you enjoyed or maybe learned something from this card walkthrough, and more than anything, I just hope you'll get out and forge some keys. Thanks.